What's up, everyone? Welcome to another Team Kitchen Fable video. I'm Jacob. I'm joined by Steven and Sean, as always. And we're in the middle of draft season for Road to Nationals. If you want to see what we think are our top 5 cards in common and rare for the different draft classes and talents in Uprising, go ahead and keep watching. You can also check out our last draft video where Sean and I sat down at a table. We drafted Iyslander and kind of talked about our thoughts as we went through. And go ahead and like and subscribe if you want more competitive content. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and just drop into the top 5 generics that we think are cards to look out for when you're drafting Uprising. So the first one we have is Scar for a Scar. This is a reprint. It's the first, I think, generic common reprint we have in a draftable set, at least. And it's just a generically strong card. Like all three heroes can use it. When you're lower life, it has Go Again, and 0 for 4 Go Again is just a great rate, especially in limited. So there's really nothing wrong with this card. If it's in your deck and you need cards, this for sure goes in. I think there's probably better cards that you can put in, but it's kind of just a solid early pick, and that's why we put it at 5 on generics.
Exactly. And then another solid kind of card that lets you stay open is the Yellow's Findel's Fighting Spirit. Specifically the yellow one. It's also really good because it has that 6 breakpoint. It kind of as long as there's no on hit effect, which there's not a lot in the sets, it also kind of works as a 3 block as long as you are on lower health. On yellow, it's a great resource card. There's a lot of cards a lot of sequences that you can use on all the heroes where like 2 resources is all you need for the turn. And it's just super relevant against the Will White hero like 5.
So we have Red Oasis Respite next, and I think that anyone who's played against this is not surprised by this pick. Prevent the next 4 damage that would be dealt to target hero this turn by a source of your choice. The choice is very critical here as well. And it also says if they have less life than each other hero, they may gain 1 health. The wording on this is super weird to read. I think they built it in anticipation of PvE here in the future. This is the best card to pair with Quell by a mile. I would say the second best one is probably going to be the Red Brothers in Arms, simply because it functions as a Phantasm Popper as well. But that's what you want to be looking out for, is probably like a quelling shoes or boots or slippers, whatever they're called, and an Oasis Respite. That makes for one unbelievably pop-off defensive turn in this format.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the generics having multiple modes and strong defense is super important. Number 2 on the list is Brothers in Arms Red. Like Steven said, the 6 power breakpoint is super important. If you can just turn off an entire Dromai turn with good timing, that really hurts their momentum, and it can really steal your momentum, especially when you're behind. Additionally, with Quell, you can pay into this to give it 4 power or 4 defense total, and those other 2 resources can go towards quelling other breakpoints, which means for Iyslander, you can defend very well. And I think this card is very high pick priority for most heroes just based on its flexibility for the different heroes.
Yeah, I think in our last video, Jacob, this was our pack 1 pick 1, because we said we chose it over Erase Face, and that's because this opened us up to all 3 heroes. It said we have 1 Dromai shutdown turn, we have a 6 attack if for some reason we have that much tempo, and we've also got like a perfect defense turn on Iyslander. It's play a 0 cost action from Arsenal, block with this, pay 1 into it, and then also throw out Waning Moon. It's a very, very versatile card.
Yep, it's super strong.
Yep, and as we keep talking about a great defensive turn, and with all the generics, we have the Quelling Slippers as the best quelling equipment that we have available to kind of combo with all this going on here. One of the good things about Quelling Slippers specifically, that the only hero that has an in-class boost slot is going to be the Illusionist. And even on Illusionist, you might want to consider having both the Silent Stilettos and Quelling Slippers available to you. So you will both have Quelling Slippers for the wide 5 matchup, or wide maybe Iyslander, Dromai Mirror, I mean, and then have the Silent Stilettos for when you are facing Iylanders to have that extra boost of Arcane Barrier. But nevertheless, it's just is still a great way to just round out your defensive capabilities and just make great use of all your resources, especially pitching a blue, using Quell, and pairing it up with either Oasis Respite or Brother in Arms makes an easy 2-card 6 block in which you can also kind of mess with the breakpoints that the opponent is throwing at you.
So Rise from the Ashes, I think red and blue are good choices here. Personally, I think that red is very a borderline top 5 pick. But this says the next Draconic or Ninja attack action card you play this turn gains +3, and you may return a Phoenix Flame from your graveyard to hand. This is really great to pair with strong on hits, particularly in early Soaring Strike that can give your next 0-cost attack go again if it doesn't have that. Anything like that, really, really, really good. The main thing here is you might not always be able to make use of the Phoenix Flame. I find that Rise from the Ashes is like a C+-ish grade in draft, but it's closer to a B+-ish grade in sealed. And the reason I say that is because sealed games are more likely to go longer in this format. And so you'll see your Phoenix Flames hit graveyard and you'll be able to actually use them. Whereas in draft, some people might have much more efficient decks. You might not make it to a full turn cycle without getting, or a full deck cycle without getting punished for having extra Phoenix Flames. So definitely keep that in mind, but overall, very strong card.
Yeah, so number 4 on our list for the ninja cards is Soaring Strike, and actually we put all of the 1-for-4 go-agains on this slot. It's really just that's kind of your bread and butter. That's what you want in your ninja deck. You need turn starters so that you can start going wide, and the 1-for-4s are a good breakpoint to leak damage through. And if you have cards like Soaring Strike with relevant on hits, that's even better. So it's just there's Mounting Anger, Duskrunner, Outlaw. All of these 1-for-4 go-agains are just super important, and you need to know you need to have a certain number of them in your ninja pool for it to function consistently across your turns.
Yep, and following the other card the other set of cards that really hold the ninja deck together are the 0-for-3 go against. Here we're showing Rising Resentment, but if you can make yourself a play line in which you can go 0 cost thing, 2 cost for your weapon, 1 cost for an attack, and then finish it off with a Phoenix Flame, that's a really strong just combination that the Fi can really get to keep chipping in damage, especially with coming in for 1 with the Phoenix Flame. It's just really efficient across the board, and all that sequence only costs you 3 resources. So pairing enough blues with enough 1-for-4 with 0-for-3s are just going to be like a great, just the makings of a great Fi turn to go off of.
Yeah, it's all about consistency.
So I'm getting all the Phoenix Flame cards to talk about here today. And Flame Call Awakening is an exceptional card. It allows you to search your deck for a Phoenix Flame if you've already played a red card this turn. The danger with this card is that it effectively reads conditional 1-for-4 go again and go find your Phoenix Flame early. So this card can be exceptionally deadly to you if you draw it late in the game, because it means you're not getting full value off of it. It's just a 1-for-3 go again, and it blocks for 2. It can be a liability, but if you are seeing things in your pool, like personally, I don't view this as a pack 1 pick 1 or like even a pack 1 pick, but it's if I'm already in Fi and I have the right synergies, I am so happy to see this on pack 3. It augments my list. Like, this is a game winning card. It is exceptionally strong, but I wouldn't be looking at this as I need to have this in my Fi deck, but simply because of its upside potential, we've got it in at slot number 2.
Yeah, I've definitely come around to your way of thinking on this one as well. There's definitely a ceiling, but when you're in a Fi mirror and it's just about whoever trips first, if you trip over this card, it could be your doom for sure. So that's definitely really good to call out on this one. And then that brings us to our last one. At number 1, we have Blaze Headlong. This is just it's just the power level that you want. Like, it's very easy to turn on the ability to go again, and when you have a 0-for-4 go again in the middle of your chain, of course it hits breakpoints, and it's just Yeah, like I said with Scar for Scar, like 0 for 4 go again is just what you want to do basically. Like you're leaking damage through, you're going wide, and it's easy to get the go again. Plus it's draconic, so like obviously if it's between this and Scar for Scar, it's just better than Scar for Scar because it's draconic. But just these things and the way that Fi works off of consistency, that's what made us decide to put Blaze Headlong at number 1 as just kind of an auto pick for your Fi list for sure.
And I want to say, as far as resourcing goes, Blaze Headlong is perfect. Your sweet spot is a, worst case scenario is a 3-card hand that says 0 cost draconic card, 1 cost draconic card, sword, grab Phoenix Flame, right? This allows you to say 1 cost, 0 cost, which is this, then sword Phoenix Flame for 12 damage. In the scenario I just explained, it's 11. And on a 4-card hand, this potentially allows you to present 15 damage if you draw right. It is unbelievably strong.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Now moving on to the Dromai cards. On number 5, we have Invoke Necria specifically as one of the dragons. Necria is just, I know it does cost 3, but if you get it out there, if we go down the quick list, there's about 6 poppers at common, 1 at rare, which is both a yellow and a red, and then there's a majestic erase face. And there's not a lot of poppers out there. And even if there is a popper out there, the breakpoints on this attack, Necria attacks for 4 and it has 7 total health. 7 is a lot. I don't think there's any way, if your opponent tries to kill Necria naturally, you're getting such a big advantage because that's a 7 health swing. Probably, ideally, it's probably like, because of the effect where you get a -1 counter, it's probably more like a 5 health swing, but that's a lot in a game of sealed or draft. You're getting tons of value. You're probably going to get some ashes out of it, so you're going to be able to turn on all the rest of your good Dromai attacks. So obviously, Necria is going to be like one of our top picks for our number 5 pick for Dromai.
Yeah, I think Billowing Mirage is probably the best blue utility card for Dromai. It's a block 3. It only costs 1, so it synergizes well with the Pitch Red Create Ash ability. And Blue Pitch with Go Again, 1 Go Again with the ability to create a permanent is just exceptionally strong. This is what you want to see in your late pack 2s, mid pack 2s, and pack 3 to round out your deck. If you've already got the power in it, you say, if my game goes long, if I have to fatigue 5, or if I'm playing that mirror match, what's going to give me the edge? And as you know, when you get down to those later picks, it's going to be the Blue Billowing Mirage. I think it's an exceptional and unsung pick.
Yep. So the next one we have in the order is Dunebreaker Senpai, and this is all 3 colors of them actually at 3rd place. It's just a great chain starter. Specifically the red, of course, you want to start with red because you need to give your dragons go again. But the rate on this is pretty great. It's a 1 for 5 go again, and if it's destroyed, you get an ash. So anyone who's been testing constructed, I think there's plenty of ways to make ash. But in limited and sealed and draft, you definitely want to be hitting your ash quotas, so to speak. And this is just another way to hit it. And if you do get your opponent to pop this, it means that they're not going to pop one of your dragons. So you want to be a little careful on not overextending and leading with this when popping it means you lost a lot of value. But this is just a core card that you want to have a good number of these in your deck for sure, just to hit your consistency, hit your damage with go again.
Yep, and that leads us to another great for kind of a different strategy for Dromai. You have the Ember Maw Senpai, again, all 3 of the colors. I believe on a 3-card hand, you have 3 as Dromai, you have 3 common cards that you can do 1 go again and then lead into this, or 2 for 8, 7, or 6. Now that's a lot of damage, especially if the opponent is not blocking. So imagine your turn where you go 5 go again into 8 go again. That's 13 damage off of 3 cards. It's like a really, I believe not. It's a strategy that you can do with Dromai where you can go big attacks in the case that maybe there's another Dromai on the table and taking all the tiny dragon stuff. I think you can definitely pivot into a strategy for Dromai that just is about launching these big attacks and just pressuring their life total a bunch. It's just, and this is just the great ender for just the 2 for 8 is a lot, and 2 for 7 is also great. And if you have 2 for 6 is also not bad.
Yeah, I mean every phantasm attack you see, when it has phantasm, you already know it's because it has a overrate damage. Like phantasm is apparently a drawback, but when there's only a couple sixes in the set, when there's only a couple
That's
sixes in the set, it's not so much of a drawback.
Yeah, very good, very good.
Prism rants narrowly avoided. Uh, so Rake the Embers, I think, is the number one reason you cannot allow Dromai to go first. If you win the dice roll, do not let it happen. Yes, other dragons are big and strong and scary. Rake the Embers is like a consistent ping that is very costly to get rid of. It's too narrow of a threat. And in case you guys didn't know, they can just target Helios meter, Mitre, whatever it's called. And if they have 2 reds and a Rake the Ember, you're going to have 3 dragons in your face on turn 0, and you're not going to like it. It's exceptionally strong. If that happens to Iyslander, you might as well pack your bags. AB3, hashtag Ashwings didn't need AB, all of that. This card is actually balanced, though. I think what I found is in games of draft, which is what we're talking about here, is the 2 block severely punishes Dromai for seeing this late. If this is seen late and they're close to lethal, they do not have a good time having this card. So when you're drafting it, keep this in mind. And when you're playing with it in your deck and you're not seeing it, understand that you're probably not going to be able to cast it, and it's going to be an inefficient block for you.
The last section of cards left are the Iyslander cards, and starting at number 5 is Blue Ice Bolt. So there's a couple caveats with this card. I'll start with the positives. It's an ice card and it's blue, so you can play it at instant speed and give your opponent a frostbite. The drawback, however, is that the common play pattern that Iyslander wants to do is send a card and use her weapon to deal 3 more damage. And with the fact that this costs 2 means that that's not possible easily off of a single card unless you have the wizard chess piece. So what I would say when looking at this card is it's okay to pick a couple early if they're your only cards. Like they're block 3s and they're ice cards to fuse. There's literally nothing wrong with that alone. And you definitely want to have any number of those you can get. But if you have the chess piece, the power level of this definitely goes a lot higher, because now on your chess piece turn, you're dealing 3 and 3 arcane and giving your opponent a frostbite off 2 cards. And that's a lot better than some of the other rates on the blue ice cards. But definitely just watch out for the 2 cost on this. Don't over prioritize them if you have better other blues. But the power level on this one is definitely very high.
For sure. And now we're going on the kind of opposite spectrum here. We have the Frosting, which is a 0 blue and only deals 1 arcane damage. It's also ice, so it also does give a frostbite to the opponent if you play it on on their turn and from your arsenal as Iyslander ability goes. And then I like this one more than the other value ones because you can really get a good defensive turn with this card and with the cards we mentioned earlier, Brothers in Arms and all the colors. And the Oasis Respite also, I think all the colors work really well with Iyslander. And then just pitching a blue, so you can Frosting, deal 1 damage, give them a Frostbite to shut down their turn a bunch, defend about 4 as well with like all the other cards, and also deal 3 arcane damage. That's 8 swing off of like what 3-ish cards. And you're just like defending, just doing a lot on your opponent's turn to really shut them down and still get damage through. It's just a very good play pattern that Iyslander had, especially with the 0 cost Frosting. It's just fantastic.
This is one of my favorite early picks if I'm seeing a lot of ice cards, particularly in the first 5 packs or first 5 picks on pack 1. I'm really looking to grab this out for 2 reasons. One is if the wheel continues to be positive for Iyslander, I can lean in hard and have an exceptionally strong card. And 2 is I'm taking this exceptionally strong card out of the pool early. This card is extremely valuable. I think it's obviously very good even in blue, just because it can force a discard early in the turn. Most people aren't going to be able to AB3 on the blue version, and the red version is just I've got tempo, or I have, I went second and I drew into this and I blocked you out turn 0, and here I am. Removing a card, doing a ton of arcane damage, and nothing is stopping you from pitching the fuse card to Waning Moon for lethal. So this is basically saying if you've got that lethal, just go ahead, play it. and do 7 arcane damage on a single turn, which is quite exceptional.
Yeah, the red arcane damage in Iyslander is super important. When I first started drafting Iyslander, I kind of over prioritized blues and didn't have a way to kill your opponent. So you definitely need to keep in mind you need to have some win cons in your deck. The red Aether Ice Vein contributes, and red Aether Hail is another one that contributes. Red Aether Hail is only 4 damage instead of 5, and it doesn't have an effect attached to it. But the benefit of this is that it's a resource breakpoint for Iyslander, which a weird way of explaining it, but basically it costs 1 and your weapon costs 2. So your bread and butter turn is that you can send this for 4 and your weapon for 2, and you're still getting 6 damage per card. Additionally, it's an ice card and a 3 block. A lot of the draft heroes are just all about consistency. So if you can go ahead and get fuses off with this, you can get block 3s when you're in trouble. That's what you want to be looking for in your reds. And then just, again, the consistency on this where you can pitch a blue to deal 4 and 2 if your opponent had an off turn, or go above, like maybe they used their Quell already and it's just guaranteed lethal. It's definitely value on red Aether Hail.
Yep, and continuing that same train, Aether Hail Blue is also very valuable. Again, as Jacob mentioned, the resource breakpoint, it costs 1 and your waning moon costs 2. So on pitching a blue, which in Iyslander you're going to have a lot of, will deal 2 and then 3. While still not doing 6 damage, it also gives you an additional value since it is an ice card, will also give a frostbite to the opponent. So it still has that intrinsic value of about 6, even on the opponent's turn, by doing the 1 to 2 resource breakpoint here. And it's just a fantastic card. I think Aether Hail is it is at number 1 for us, or Iyslander, because we think it's like the most important just for the curve of what Iyslander wants to do in disruption and doing damage.
Yeah, so that was our top 5 limited cards that we ran through. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully that was valuable for you. And if you take a look at those and keep an eye out for them in your draft, I think you'll find success. Again, go ahead and watch our draft video if you're interested. And Sean and I talk a little bit more in depth about every single one of our picks. And then like and subscribe to our channel in general. We're always posting competitive content that we hope you guys will find valuable. And we'll see you next time.
Peace.